All right, so 20 strong. I passed by 20 strong more than 20 times in my game store because there's I would see it and I was like, okay, that's mildly interesting. And then I would go, what's this about? And I would look and it says age 14 plus. And I was like, me? Time 30 to 40 minutes. I have that. One player sounds good. Then it gives me Chip Theory Games, the address, and box contents. One heavy weighted chip. I love chips. Magnetic chip holder. That's good. You don't get the cheese dust all over your hands. 20 custom dice, one rule book, one Solar Sentinels deck. Contains one deck box, one rule book, and 64 PVC cards. So what I was just like, well, what is it though? Like what is the game? And it was one of these things where it's like I could have very easily just looked it up, but also there is 10,000 other games at that store. And so I was just kind of like, well, I don't, there even solo games, there's a huge solo game section. And so it's like I just kind of did a pass on it. And then one day I was uh, going in determined to buy something for 40K. They didn't have it. I had like post dopaminergic like letdown. And so as I was leaving, I said, I'll just take whatever this is. I said, I'll take this. And they're like, oh man, the game's awesome. And they said, do you want this one or the red one? And I said, well, what's the difference? They said, well, the red one has Tangle Woods in it. And I said, that's not good. Just this one. I want this one. And I am glad that I got this one because there are two base games of this. And I think on their website you could buy just the base game, but the ones that are in the stores I've seen are the base game with Solar Sentinels, which is a sci-fi card battler, and there's also one with Tanglewood Red, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But this, put that aside for a second. This is 20 strong. That's the core system. This box right here, padded. It's a nice deck box. There are 17 dice that have differing levels of success. It also comes with this fun little magnetic chip that has 1 to 20 here, and you could take it off and turn it over, and it has different colors on it. And then it has a rule book. It has these 3 dice, which are also the stats, usually health, energy, and strategy. And in addition to the core rules of play, this one comes with Solar Sentinels. Now, this is important before I even say anything more, is that the way you should think of 20 strong is this is your game system, and this is your cartridge. And each of these games uses 20 strong, the dice, one or at least one side of the chip, and uses it in ways that conform to the core rules, but then each of them also have different rules of their own. All right. And so it's a kind of an ingenious marketing thing too, because for instance, one of their flagship games is Too Many Bones. And Too Many Bones is a big dice game that actually uses a system that is very much like 20 Strong. This is sort of Chip Theory's signature, a form of their signature system. And Too Many Bones, I would love Too Many Bones, but it's Too Many Bones. It's $150. And I imagine that one day I'll be able to make that investment, but I would have had no chance of making that investment if it wasn't for the fact that I was able to play the 20 strong version of it, which is an adaptation of the Too Many Bones characters, the gear locks, the different bosses that you could get, different weapons and inventory and stuff. And included in the Too Many Bones pack is going to be instructions that are like, all right, this is, you're going to use general rules of play, but like what's different for this one? Okay. And each game will have a slightly different, you know what? Actually, some of them have quite a bit different setup. For instance, another popular game of theirs that they have adapted is, I don't know how to say the top, Hoplomachus Victorum, which is sort of a like Roman Colosseum type fighter game. And usually you like put your cards in a row, but for this one you build like a Mount Olympus. So I guess it'd be Greek, right? No, I don't know. But yeah, so this one will have different art, different rules, different usage of the chip, and the way that you play all of these games is you're essentially going to face either enemies or challenges, and you may have already inferred this, but you're basically going to like wager dice to meet the amount of successes that are needed, right? And so it's a question of, do I use up my higher potency dice and risk losing them, or do I spam the lower frequency dice and just hope for the best, or what do I do here? It's a wager game, but there's also, in every game, you're going to have some sort of inventory. You might be visiting a shop. You might have enemies that will put like different win conditions on you, or limitations, or you'll have to fight them in a certain order, or you'll have to like sort of dedicate all your attacks to one enemy to get to the bigger enemies. And almost every game as well has some mechanism by which like there's a boss and certain things that you do throughout play. Like if you don't do them, the boss will be at their highest strength. All right, I forgot to say at the top that I am submitting this video to Chip Theory Games to be a product reviewer. And so when I remembered that, I also remembered, oh my goodness, I completely forgot to put down my leather gaming mat that I have here on every video. And of course, just wanted to say, I look forward to all of your comments. As a solo gaming channel dedicated to high net worth individuals with lots of disposable income, I always look forward to your professional comments that say things such as, good morning, or I competed in the 1972 Olympics. If there was one in 72, if there wasn't, we wouldn't put that, because these are all professional comments, and I'm sure that Chip Theory is going to see what a great investment allowing me, gentleman alone, to be a product reviewer for their company. And now, on with the video. And if you're at Chip Theory watching this, go ahead and take a bathroom break. We're all going to wait just a minute till you get back, so I want you to be comfortable. Yep, no problem. All right, see you in a minute. Listen up. Do not ruin this for me. All right? I already know that one of you during that last thing already started writing some clever comment. Chip Theory? What's your theory? That chocolate chips are better than oatmeal raisin? That's not funny. All right? And I know that one of you is writing like, oh, Chip Theory, more like Chip Gary, the relief pitcher for the Texas Rangers. That's pretty funny. But that's Chip Gary doesn't exist. And if he does, he doesn't play for the Rangers. All right? So do not mess this up for me. I need this. I can't pay for any. All of this is bought on BB's credit. Hello, welcome back, guest of honor, Chip Theory. Have a seat, and you and this cadre of professionals will now enjoy the video. All right, so indeed, you would be better served by looking at some playthrough videos to get a sense of if you actually have the game, you want to learn how to play, or you want to see an entire playthrough. Chip Theory Games themselves have a great instruction videos for I think all of these games, definitely Solar Sentinels and the Tanglewood ones, but I think all of them. And they're actual. It's very rare that a company has like the best videos on how to set up and play, but theirs are very good. And I think that the better use of the time, especially as these have been out for a while, some of them longer than others. There is an abundance of information out there. So I think the best use of our time would be to like set up each one of these, take a look at them, see what makes what's unique about them, and then see the sort of feats of uh, mechanical dexterity that are accomplished within these constraints. Um, I love the infinite possibility of tabletop gaming, but there is a sort of flexibility or open endedness or the wonder of possibility that comes with a system that can keep contorting itself in different ways. And it is sometimes the pressure of those boundaries or limits that push and produce very intriguing ways of utilizing uh, pretty straightforward tools here, right? I mean, it doesn't get much more straightforward than this. Just a two-sided dial that's either indicates colors, shapes, or numbers, and 20 dice, 3 of which are stat dice. What can we do with that? A lot. Within each game, as well as between the games, we'll see some interesting interactions as well. And so, if I were to start any game, again, I think we'll start with Solar Sentinels. It's the one I'm most familiar with. It is the one that came in my core set. There is a core that has Tanglewoods Red. And on their website, I believe there is also one that's just the core set. So, for instance, if you were not interested in Solar Sentinels or Tanglewood Red, maybe you were interested in like Too Many Bones, I believe there are options for that on the website, and it is all pretty affordable. Ships, I believe. Their company I know is in Plymouth, Minnesota. I don't know if it ships from there, but their prices are the same as they were in stores. They were on the website, and it's pretty affordable. Like I said, each of these is probably about $20 or so. So the first thing I would do, if this is the first time you play, you'd familiarize yourself with the general rules of play. It's about 30, a little less than 30 pages. Actually, with the credits here, it's about 25 pages. And the game is broken down into different phases that are pretty consistent across the different games that you have. And the stats as well are going to be health, strategy, recovery. And in almost every game, your health reaching less than 1 is the end of the game. And then you have strategy, which, again, in most games, a little different sometimes or can be, but strategy is how many items you can hold in your inventory and how many times you can go through the strategy phase each round, which is the phase where you decide what you're going to commit to be rolled. And then the recovery stat, which is the down arrow, shows you how many dice you're getting back. And so once I do that, I would go into the game that I want to play, and I would take a look at their rule set, which is a smaller rule set. It usually folds out or is a booklet. And the place that I go first is just to look at the layout, like how the game is laid out. It is not a large footprint of a game, but it is a little bit more than you might expect just because there's different areas for discarding cards, your inventory, your active area, your place where you exhaust dice, where you banish dice, and differences for each game. And so, because of that, I'm actually going to clear off. I know it'll be a little weird to not have the um, leather-like playing mat here, but let's get the most space that we can so that we don't have to cram it together and it looks a little bit clearer to follow. Where did this dumbass thing go? Oh, shoot. So again, just to give you a look at these features again, it does this little spinner thing is just sort of a weighted chip that is magnetized. It has two sides, and most games use one side or the other. Some games have I would say, more integral or less integral uses of this. I would say for Solar Sentinels, this is probably on the lower end. Usually you're just using this side to track. There's a mission mechanic, and some of those missions will say you have to do XYZ mechanic 3 times. And so you'll use this to keep count. Other games, it's more central. I know that Tanglewood Rose, I saw the playthrough of that. That one just came out. And that one, it's like used as a countdown or a threat timer to show how many paces you have left or turns you have left. And in almost every game, there's some modifications for difficulty levels. And the use of that in Tanglewood's Rose, from what I saw in the video, is pretty cool in that you start with like a more depleted timer. They have interesting ways of both managing difficulty for different playthroughs. Obviously, there's several different characters for each game, and any characters that do have the star on them can be used in any game. And also ways to score, like the scoring system, to if that is something of interest to you. Again, the box is very nice, and it is padded so that you wouldn't roll these dice, but it's nice if you don't have a dice tray, or I like to use it just because it's smaller than other dice trays. And then sometimes I'll use this one for banishing in a game. It just depends. Like, something in here is not something I'm going to use very often because you kind of got to scoop it out. So usually I'll just hold different stuff that I no longer need anymore. And almost always I'll put my starting 17 dice that I will use in gameplay here. And then somewhere in the middle of the table, we're going to set up the card and establish the active area. Yes, this is something we should talk about as well. So I do believe, again, that Solar Sentinels was made early on. There was some design choices, or maybe they weren't choices, that happened that they have since corrected. But just so you're aware, and this is going to be one of the weirdest things you have heard, but when I first looked into this game, I looked it up online, and there were so many positive reviews, but any reviews that were not like 5 stars, they were still like 4 stars. But they would say, "This game is awesome. I love it. I can't get enough. I stayed up all night playing it. My wife loves it. We have so much fun. Just wish the game did not smell so bad." And then there's another one that was like, uh, yeah, this game, I'm so happy that I found this game. It's incredible. After I left the game outside for 2 days, we were able to bring it inside and play it, and it stopped smelling. So, again, I bought this like 2 years after it was released, and I just thought that was kind of, something. Who knows? Maybe it was a shipment and there was some beef gravy that they were shipping in the same truck and it dumped on there or something like that. But surely in 2+ years since that happened, even if that was the case, there's no way that a smell could persist for that long. Um, but when I opened it, it had a very strong smell. So let me give you some good news and bad news, and I'll give you the bad news. The bad news is it did have a very strong smell. The good news is, A, it did not I did not have to leave it outside. It cleared up like by the time I finished even playing with it, like within 25 minutes. Number two is it is not a putrid or like organic smell. That's what I was worried about, that it's like rotting, uh, like a carcass or something. It's nothing like that. I'm not certain. I saw it addressed somewhere. It seems to have been some sort of chemical treatment or something for the cards or the dice, because to me, what it smelled like was petrol, like gas, like gasoline, which is actually a smell I really like at a gas station. So maybe I know that that's a polarizing smell. Like BB hates that smell, and when I was a kid, I remember like rolling down the window at a gas station and just being like, "Oh yeah, this is great," which is also probably not good for you. And in fact, I know that it's terrible for you to more than casually smell that. But I I didn't mind it as much. It made me laugh, but it is quite strong, and so it must have been something. And they like it was not related to, they didn't, this wasn't a game that they're like, hey, secret smell included in every pack. It must have been something that happened in like the processing or something like that. And the other things, I'm not sure if this is related. I know for sure that one of them was addressed, is that the dice, um, there were some small manufacturing blips with this as well, that also they've addressed this. But as far as I could tell, the only issue is that, uh, and it actually is quite pertinent for me, but not really, is that I am colorblind, and so if I was a little bit worried when I first opened the game, because I was like, oh man, like I could see red pretty well, but yellow, brown, green, blue are tough for me. And so I was like, oh no, like how am I going to keep this straight? And so I realized that the number of little pips on the side are, they show you like how many success um, stars there are. And I'm not sure if I showed you this yet, but just in case, this is one success. This is a crit success. It's worth two, and this is a miss. And um, all of these have an escalating level, with the top one being hit, 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 and two crits. And as you might already have noticed, in addition to the colors, as and I can also tell like there's a different shade here. I'm not like I I don't know how to explain it. It's not worth it. But this has two little pips here. This has three, four, five, and six. And so I just am able to recognize that right away. The only thing I saw, and I actually figured it out because I was playing with a friend, was that one of these on here has, maybe I made this up. Hold on. Yeah, it's one of these, the lowest dice. One of them has three pips on it, and so if you see me roll this, I usually won't, because if I pick it up and it also has two on most of the sides, so this probably won't be a problem for most people. But if you do see me, it's in the rare case that I pick up one of the sides that has three on it, and it's next to this one, and it's not next to this one, because if it's next to this one, I can clearly see the difference. But this color here, so I do think this is yellow, and then a sort of maybe teal. These are different. They're quite close. So that's all I was able to tell, and I think again, I think they've mostly addressed that, but I can see how that is. And then from a purely I know nothing and nothing was said, and I might be the only one who feels this way. I will say that the cards are. What game was it the other day? Oh yeah, it was Alien RPG, where I like could not just sort of like have that nice um, like what would the surface be? I mean, it's clearly flat, but it has low friction, right? Like the Alien RPG cards were too papery. I couldn't deal them out and separate them, and this one has a really nice feeling card. However, and this is and at least this one, and it might be too many bones. It has like, and it might, I was thinking it was the smell, like whatever was causing that smell might have been the treatment that they put on here. It's like too slippery. So sometimes when you're dealing, it will like shoot out of your hands in both directions, because it just is like very, very like it has a high, what would the word be? Turgor? No, that's skin tension point. I'm not sure, but I don't want it to happen because it's quite scary. But it does happen sometimes where the cards just sort of like disassemble themselves because the friction is so low. It's like what they put on those little sleds in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. But Other than that, I think the design of these cards is spectacular. As I said, there's lots of ways to modify the difficulty. And I forgot to mention one of the ways. Obviously, these are. I talked about the mission cards. You can. It recommends you don't use these in the first game, but you'll also get 3 different missions every time. You have your characters. They each have different stats as well as different actives or passives. I love like the intermittent accent foiling, and then all of these characters you could choose from. On the back are 3 more characters, so there's 6 different characters of various difficulty, and some of them are universal characters that could be used in any game. And then there's also bosses. There is the Mother Spore, the Swarm Lord, the Alpha Beast, and the Hive Monarch. And so you have choices there as well in which of those that you face. And yeah, so that's probably my surface level review. Now let's get inside this game's head. All right, so I have here 3 stacks of 15, 45 total, and they're called stacks. This game, as well as many of these games, because they're designed for solo players and just because of how the game is, will usually have face-up cards. It is actually rare here that the boss deck of these 4 bosses is face down. But there are things that happen during play that allow us to interact and change that deck. And that's usually part of the kind of win condition you're going for, is to make the right moves, not only to survive to the boss, but also to like weaken the boss so that when you get there, they're not overpowered. But as of right now, we don't know the boss. The mission cards, we shuffle all these decks and then we shuffle these and we'll deal out 4 of them. You actually deal them out face up. I'm just going to have them face down for a second to show what we do with them, and then I'm going to decide on which hero I want. And normally I would just shuffle this and like pick whatever one comes up, but just to make sure there's not any that are a bit complex, I'll go with this one, Beckett Sunforger, a universal hero. You could use him in other games. And Beckett is going to have 4 HP or life, heart, 2 energy, and 1 recovery. So a bit hard to kill, middling on terms of how many items I can have and how many times I can roll in each round. And then life is 4, which is really good. I shuffled and dealt out the mission cards, and what you'd do with these is you'd read these 4, and then you can discard the one that you don't like. And unlike the other cards in this game, these ones do go like left to right, and so you have to do this one first, clear it, and then do what's on here and clear it. So for instance, this says, never surrender. Activate 3 or more enemies in a single activation. It has a little flavor here. At the very least, never admit to surrendering. Stellar Blade Isolde. And so that one I know I can do that. The harder they fall is defeat 4 level 2 enemies. I can do that. And that's one we would like use the counter for to track. Field testing, use 3 single-use items. I can definitely do that. Search and destroy. Select a conflict stack. While this is your current mission, all cards in this stack are considered to be mandatory enemies. So the enemies have 2 difficulty levels. I don't know if this is any better, but like, because of the reflection, let me try to a little bit of softer light. So we have a level 1 difficulty and a level 2 difficulty. And some of them, though, have a like a hazard strip design on them. When they have that, it means they're mandatory. The other enemies, they're not mandatory, and I can go over how that works. But those ones are mandatory. And then you see here like the plus skull thing here. That means when that enemy comes down into your active play area, you need to draw up another enemy. And if that enemy has skulls on it as well, you draw up another. And some enemies will have, like, especially harder ones, like 3 skulls. You draw up 3 enemies. Those might have enemies, and you can get quite a big stack here. But usually you're going to face like something between 1 and 3. I usually face sometimes 4 or 5. But yeah, it can get quite big because all of these enemies are also going to have, not all of them, but most of them are also going to have some sort of restriction. In the roll dice step, change all rolled hits to misses except for this one, which is like your most valuable dice die, and then all rolled misses to hits. And so that's partly good, partly bad, but it creates some havoc. Well, that card is here, that applies. And then this one says hits can only be applied to enemies matching colored matching colored pairs. So you can only, like, you're not going to be able to use this one. And this doesn't just mean for this enemy, it means all of the enemies until this guy is taken out. And then if I have this enemy as well, this probably wouldn't happen because if I pulled this one, I would pull another one and I wouldn't pull these guys too. But just saying, if we had a spread like this, a max of 8 dice could be committed this engagement. Non-2 yellow dice can only be applied to this enemy if applied at the same time as another one. And so that's where a lot of like strategy comes in is, okay, I need, this guy is the biggest threat in terms of how much damage he can do if I don't take him out, and however many rolls I get through strategy here. But like this guy severely limits my options. For instance, this one here, a maximum of 8 dice. If I don't take this guy out in the first engagement of the round, and I only have 2 right now, then I am limited. And I mean, 8's quite a bit, so that's not terrible, but I would want to get rid of those restrictions. And so you have to figure out what order you want to do it in, and then you also have to deal with the fact that you can come up with a great plan and then just kind of biff your rolls. And you do have some options there that we could talk about, especially in the inventory and stuff like that. And your active, this guy's active is, again, each time you use a one-time use item, I don't know why I said again, I don't think I've said this. Each time you use a one-time use item, you may either add 2 heart or recover 2 dice, which is a really, really nice effect. And so you, not only that, you may also see on the bottom here, there are what you win. All right. And so this is a quarantine grid. If I kill this guy, I get 1 time, flip the top boss card face up. If one is already face up, discard it. Cannot be used in endgame. So think about how good that is. I can see the top boss, and if another card does this, because a few cards do this, then I can discard that boss. And now I have a lower level of options. And that's kind of randomizing, but there are ways that you can kind of get rid of the major threats. But then this is an instant use one. I immediately get 1 reroll. So that might be part of my strategy, is like, I'm going to take this guy out first, and then I get an instant increase in my energy. Then I'll have enough to take this guy out, and this one will give me a blaster rifle, and I can use the blaster rifle to et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And then add that to the missions where you're like, I want to complete this mission because I want to get all 3 of those weaken the boss, etc. You can probably tell plenty of options, plenty of ways to go, and plenty of ways to die. The thing you'll have to get used to that's a little bit different is that you have however many energy you have. So this roll is completely meaningless. I'm not counting out the dice, choosing which ones. But say I'm like, okay, I want to try to, not bad. So this one's worth 2. This is worth 3, 4, 5, and this one is a miss. And that's my first of 2 engagements. You can apply these anywhere. So this is 5. So if I wanted to take someone out immediately, I could do this guy or this guy. All right. And you just like put them on there. And and they're going to be in your active area here. So once you beat one of them, you're going to need the dice again. You can't just leave them on there, so you would turn them, all right, just to signify that they're gone. And then you'd immediately get whatever it says. And so, again, this is really good because not only do I get extra energy, I put my energy up by 1, which means next time I get 3 dice roll chances in that round. But the other thing is like, say I try my best and I get this guy, and then this guy, I'm just not able to. My final round, I don't have any rolls left, and I got him down to 1 HP. It doesn't matter. If you don't kill the guy, you lose that much HP, and then you discard the cards. Wow, my camera really slows down like this. So if that did happen, it would take away 2 from me. I discard the cards and move to the next round. And I have this 2 heart right here. But then say I had a blaster rifle, I could use that in the next round, and I can get 2 hearts back. All right. But of course, if I do that, I lose the chance to recover 2 dice. And recovering dice, I think I'm fairly certain when I say this, it's the most important thing. It's kind of like if you've ever played Magic the Gathering. When you first start playing, you're like, oh man, I can't lose HP. I'm gonna die. I can't, like, because that's how most video games are. But this game, like MTG, it's like health is just another one of your resources. And in fact, it's usually the least valuable resource because you can't even convert it into anything, right? It just happens though that it's the one or one of the only ones that when you get to less than 1, you're dead. But if you're above 1, like, you're good, right? And so that, again, that might be different in a video game, right? Your character starts like limping or struggling or, whatever it is. But here I have, well, I had 2 engagements. I used up 1. And so what choice could I make from here? Well, let's talk about how these dice rolls actually work. I knew I was going to start explaining this game. I can't not, because it's like I already like invite you in for this. And then what am I supposed to be like? Oh, that's it. I mean, let's just bring it home, right? Maybe I could. Nah, I'll just finish it. Should I? Yeah. I won't do it for every game though. Compromise. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to get rid of this mission here because it seems the most complex. I might be right, I might be wrong, but I'm just going to discard that. And then these are my 3 active missions here. And I need to complete this one before I move on to this one and this one. And I want to try to do that before I reach the end game. All right, I'm still going to use this booklet just to make sure I get it right. But as I was reading through, I was like, I did it. I think I know, like, I got the game now. So a couple of things. The minimum of any of these stats other than health is 1. So if you're at like 1 energy and you have an effect that makes you lose 1, you can't go lower than 1 except on health because you're dead. You are going to flip these cards over, these mission cards, once you complete them, and then go on to the next one. And for every one you don't complete in the end game, you add +1 enemy from like a stack to be fought with the boss card. And you can enter endgame whenever one of these, at least one of these stacks is completely like gone. You've depleted it, right? And there is first, each round has 2 parts: activation and engagement. All right. So we'll just play through with what we have here. So here, because none of these are mandatory, I can choose to bring any of these 3 cards into the active area. This is actually a really important part of this, because you'll see that even though it would feel great to splash 17 dice every time, you are only going to be able to recover dice for sure like 1. Now that number is going to go up. I'm going to get different effects to get more, but right now all I can count on after the round, which is all engagements. So I have 2 energy, 2 engagements. I get to roll twice, and then at the end of that, I resolve and I can pull back one die, which I'll tell you, if it's this one, you better hope that you can recover it, right? And you don't want it banished. And there are effects that come up that banish a die that makes it much harder to get. Okay. And so because it's the first round, I look at these cards and I'm like, all right, this guy, I don't feel good about this because he's got +1. And as soon as you pull one of these down, you see the next card. And even if this wasn't mandatory, well, because this is mandatory, I pull this one down, and now this one has another one, and this becomes active as soon as it's revealed. I pull this one down, and thankfully this does not have any plus any more enemies. So now I have these 3 cards in front of me: a level 2, a level 1, a level 1. All right. I avoided this guy because he has 8 health. I avoided this guy because he has 6 health and because he has the max 8 dice commitment. So let's see what kind of situation we have. We have the defeatal, like a beetle, but a defeatist. And a max of 3 dice can be committed from your dice pool in each commit step. So that is terrible. Now, that is in each commit dice step. But what do I get? A solar sacrifice. If, as long as this is in my inventory, I can banish a die from your dice pool to deal damage to a non-boss enemy equal to the number of hit sides on the banished die. So I could, that's like a desperation move. I can hold up to 2 items right now. That one, I would take it if it was in the first round, but I would have to have a pretty sucky item to swap this one out for, just because it's like I don't want to banish dice, and any of the HP that's worth hitting someone for in an instant hit is probably not worth banishing that die. And so that's another thing I like about this game. I hate to keep comparing it to Magic the Gathering, the game of greed, but MTG is they got mechanics down, right? And one of the things that you also have to learn about these card games is like they are not all cards are good. That's another thing that when you first start playing, you're like, oh, well, every card must have some good usage. And it's like some cards are intentionally bad. They are like, they are part of learning the game and they're part of getting good at the game, and especially certain cards that feel like they're really good. Think it, for those of you who play Magic or play something Flesh and Blood similar to that, like a card that you get that says like deal 8 damage in an enchantment, and you're like, oh my gosh, I 8 damage, and you completely ignore the fact that it costs 4 mana, that it's an enchantment, so you could only do it as, you know. And so I'm not saying that's the final word on this, because uh, it could be, there could be some upside, but this is a terrible card to get, in my opinion. We have, it limits 3 dice that we can commit from my dice pool in each commit dice step. That's terrible. It has 5 health, which is medium, but it hits you for 3, which would put me down to 1 if I don't kill it. And its reward is not that good, but that is also why it's a 2 enemy. Now we have Drone Alone. Hey, my kindred. Oh, and you can see on this one, it has a little, looks like an upside down drop or like a map point. That means that it is, I need to, if you look at the bottom row, that gives the 3 effects. So this means if you defeat the enemy, this is what happens after. Think of it as like, you know, an enemy in a video game that's like a slime enemy or something, or poison, and you beat them and then they go and they pop and bad things happen. Or maybe it's not bad. And then this is during. So that means it's going to happen during, and special activate right away. All right. And then these are my items, can be single use, ongoing, or instant. And I think we've gone over the other ones there, but just take a look. Okay. So that sucks. So that's going on. And then in each roll dice step, count the number of rolled misses. Take the same number of rolled hits, or as many as possible, and re-roll them. Now, that's terrible, but actually, this limits the amount of dice that we can use to 3. And if I rolled like this, I'm gonna have a lot of misses that I'm gonna have to re-roll. Whereas 3 dice, if I get if I get a trio of good rolls, I won't even have to deal with this. So we're gonna have to strike fast and hard here, or else it's gonna be a short game. And then this one, hits can only be applied to enemies in matching colored pairs. So this totally sucks because it means that I am at most going to have 1 hit here because I need matching pairs. I can only roll 3 dice. Any misses, I have to convert that many hits to none. And so I potentially will have nothing here. But I know that this jerk right here is my big problem. All right. And so I'm probably going to have to come out swinging here just so that it doesn't get away from me. I'm too worried about this guy, but maybe I shouldn't be. Well, my ideal roll. No, I cannot use this guy because I can only hit in matching colored pairs. So I'm going to split my risk, and I'm going to do this one here. I try to keep these in order, and let's just see what we can do. Great. All right, so no misses, and this would be so fun because that would give us an additional hit there, but we can't use it because it has no matching colored pairs, at least not until we get rid of this guy. So this guy has 3 HP left. And so for this one, it says in each rolled dice step, count the number of rolled misses, take the same number of rolled hits and re-roll them. It doesn't apply. Hits can only be applied to enemies in matching colored pairs. So this is an unapplied dice, and I can add to the pool, which I will, and I have to re-roll any dice that were unapplied. And so probably what I'm going to do, well, no, I'm not going to do that. Because the thing is, it does say matching colored pairs, and I was like, well, maybe I can get 3 of a kind, and I'm like, no, it does say pairs, so I guess rolling this would at least increase the chances that I'll get a pair. I'll grow a pair. All right, so we have 1 miss, and that means I have to re-roll. Take the same number of rolled hits and re-roll them. I have to do 1. And so really, I think if I don't get this here, it's over. Because I need to re-roll it as a hit, and I miss, which means I cannot use anything. I have 2 energy, which means that's it. Like, I can't roll again, which means all of these enemies have hit me. This is the worst first round I have ever played of this game in my life. And it is the only one I've ever recorded. It's amazing. Yeah, so it hits me for 3, down to 1, hits me for 1, I'm dead. That's how it goes. So luckily, though, how long would it take to restock the game here? And I just know there's going to be a comment where someone's like, you forgot that. And I'm going to be like, yeah, well, guess what? You're right. Guess what? I'm stupid. Okay, so to redo this one, because I would feel like I didn't really get into it as much, I'd probably just redo these stacks right here, and I would give it another go. But because we're going to cruise through these different games, maybe we can... That's honestly most of it. But I know that it probably doesn't show like what the loop of play looks like. So we're not going to go as in depth in the other games, but maybe we can use some opportunities in those games to explore some of the other mechanics. But in terms of like the mechanics specific to Solar Sentinels. I think that that's pretty much it, other than the individual like effects and rewards and everything like that. But it does get great. Like if you have not that kind of start, you have some. I've had amazing games where I've gotten up to like tons of HP and I'm just dominating, and then all of a sudden there's just a round like that, and you're like, and I have die. All right, let's try another one. All right, next we're gonna do Victorum, Hoplomachus or Hoplomachus. Not sure. Let me know. And again, this is one of their flagship games. There are several different versions of this. And it is like a Colosseum fighter. And so we are going to build a nice Mount Olympus. We have some different heroes. We have an enemy. How are we going to set this game up? Once again, supreme quality of cards and a lot of things that look familiar, but also a little bit different. We have HP, we have hit. So let's see what we got. Mount Vesuvius. very, very different from Mount Olympus. Mount Vesuvius. All right, so at the beginning of this game, not only are we going to be able to choose our hero, and there are 9, and you can see here, Sea Strider, it can be used in any game. And this should look pretty familiar. We have 3 health, 2 energy, 2 recovery, and success on yellow die deals 2 damage. At the end of recovered die step, you may recover 1 yellow die, like in addition to everything else. That's pretty good, pretty steady. And then on the back, there's a different side to this card, and as we can probably guess, there is something different about this, right? Because this looks like enemy damage, so we'll see what that means. And then in addition to choosing our hero in this game, we also choose a Scion, an ultimate boss of the game. So probably some familiar ones and unfamiliar. We have the Hydra, Colemus, Divisepid, Zahak, Tauti, Itzam, Kab, Ain, Calliope, Kamazot, and Pluto. And we can look at all of these and look at both sides and choose. And we can see from this other side it says spectate. So what's that about? And then we have 4, what are these called? Strategy, tactic cards. Don't know what these are yet. Bolster health, stun, hamstring, adrenaline. And then we have the remainder of the deck, which is going to be split up in different types of encounters. And you can see that some of them are going to be they have different colors, but they also have different icons here, and not all of them are people. This one says the God's Wine. When this opportunity is gained, place it covering your hero card. It does not take up an item slot. Your hero's ability is disabled until it is removed. This opportunity is completed and removed when another opportunity is completed. Brains over brawn. So some different types of cards that, like, some of them are encounters and some of them are going to be just like, as they're called, opportunities. So we'll see how that plays out. And the way that we set up this deck is going to be very different. I will say that from what I know, and I've played this once, it was definitely like a direction-led thing where I had to refer back to it, so I cannot say I've had the full, pure experience of it. I would say this is probably the crunchiest one. Yeah, yeah, it is. So this time we're going to shuffle what's called our Mount Vesuvius, and we're going to shuffle the conflict deck, which is made of opportunities, bloodshed, and sporting events. And then we are going to, instead of 3 stacks of 15, we're going to make 9 stacks of however many that is. And, well, it says into 9 face-up stacks of 6 cards each. And then we're going to make a Mount Vesuvius with our Scion at the top. So just blasted these all over me. So this deck definitely is one of those. All right, so we need the top of our Mount Vesuvius. Again, we have 9 camps of 6 cards. And so the top of it is going to be one of these Scions. And so I figure the best way to do this is just look the other way. That one. Eat Sun Kurt Cobain. Place the spectated card next to eat. Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty awesome. Is that like just a huge alligator? All right. So this goes up top here. And then as far as our champion, we have our tactics cards over here. I guess we'll do the same thing. Look away. There. Who's this? April O'Neil. 222. Heard that before. Well, good. So we have Aprilis. Okay. Does anyone ever do this? Like take the most like average hero? I never take somebody who has very average stats, but I'm like, why don't I? This is the best move. I always take imbalanced heroes. I'm gonna become an Aprilis head. Like I'm going to start. Well, let's see how this goes. So interestingly, in this game, we do not have all of our starting dice. So it says place the Scion at the top as the 10th camp with its spectate side face up. Together the camps make Mount Vesuvius. Choose a hero and starting tactic. Okay. So let's see what it says here. After completing a Primus conflict, recruit the strongest die in the training grounds. That's right. There's a die training grounds. Then you may place the defeated Primus card in your inventory as an item, hero side face up, and use their ability in Infinite. That is actually really, really good. And a Primus is like a hero that you face along the way. So the tactic then, after your health is reduced, +2. Bolster health, but that's like a one-time. At the start of a suffered damage step, reduce the energy of the hit amount to 0 for that step. These all look like one-time use. Negate the effect of a single non-boss enemy until the end of the current conflict. At the start of the applied dice step, reroll any number of unapplied dice, then return or recover up to 2. That one looks great. We'll do adrenaline. Or we'll not. Let's just randomize here. This one. Adrenaline. I knew it. I felt it coursing through my veins. Wait, that's actually adrenaline. So for starting difficulty, we're going to place Primuses with their picture up on camps 1, 2, and 3. And this is the way to adjust difficulty, is that you can like basically put more Primuses down should you want to increase the difficulty. But it says you can deal out 3 and then just choose like where of those 3 where they go. And so we'll go 1, 2, 3. All right. Decimus, the Parthian, and Stygiana. Pretty cool, right? Is this light enough in here now? These are a little less glossy. Can we get away with that? All right. So now we're just going to place them under those camps this way. And we can look at them anytime to like plan for that encounter. And this one goes here. So I will just say really quick, this is definitely a game that the low friction cards, it's like the opposite of Alien, they really are a bit of a struggle. Like as I've been setting this up, I've constantly, like, I dropped a die and it shot these cards across the table. And I think just given that this is a bit more of a crunchy game, um, this would be, and because of the shape of it, this would be a great game to come out with a like player mat for. Because even like outline places for these would allow me to manage this better. Uh, like we can't change the cards now, but this would be a perfect example for that. There are there are some interesting ways that some of the Tanglewood games get set up, but for whatever reason, because this isn't like a square, it does. I remember the first time I played that was a bit frustrating as well, as I would kind of like move over and then the cards would go like this, and I'd be like, well, which one was that? So small point, but we see here that I have only 9 starting dice, 8 in my training grounds, my adrenaline, my hero, my stats. This will be my inventory discard pile. And each round, I'll choose which one to start on here. I'll take a look at all of these. Probably not this one yet, but we represent our place with this here. It also holds down the stack, and we can start on any of the bottom ones first. And then each round, just 3 rules. You cannot move to where the scion is. You cannot move to an empty stack. So if these were all gone, I can't move here. And you cannot stay still. And that's how you can move around the table here. All right, I'm going to throw in the towel on trying to exactly explain how to play. And instead, I'm just going to tell you some things so that you understand how play would look. It's not that it's no part of it is like super complicated. It's just it's crunchy. There's a couple different things involved, but here's basically how this goes. All right, opportunity cards are like side quests. As soon as you choose an opportunity card, you put it in your inventory. It takes up inventory space, and it has a some sort of action that has to be done. And if you do that action, you get whatever is on the bottom. And to signify that that action, that side quest, like this one, when you would exhaust a 5 win purple die, banish it instead. And so, like, again, banishing a die is not great, but if you do that, you get spiked armor, which has an effect like that, and then that is also kept in your inventory. But either way, it takes up an inventory space. If you don't achieve it and want to replace it with something else, you'll have to discard it. Okay. And you're basically going to travel around and resolve these cards. You'll see that some of these cards have this little flame on them. When that is there, anytime instead of discarding them, you're going to place them here, and they are going to build the Scion's, what is it called? It's not momentum, acclaim. And basically, when you face the Scion eventually, this is like their army that you're going to have to face with them. And so you can like keep playing this game and whittle down like all of these stacks, but you're going to probably have to fight like an entire legion when you do that. So that's part of the strategy. And then movement is also part of the strategy, as well as recruiting dice, because there are 4 dice areas actually. There is your pool right here. You can exhaust dice, you could banish them, and then training grounds. And you can recruit dice. That's one of the moves that if you beat a sporting event, you can take the reward it says, or you can recruit the weakest die here. Or you can gain a new tactic to use and put that in your pile. Or you could take the reward. Like this one says, gain the top opportunity card from any camp. So I could pull that one here. If you place the opportunity in your inventory, ignore the acclaim on this card. So instead of putting that here, doing that would allow me to discard this, okay? The encounters are going to be mostly the same. Anytime that I want, I can face the Primus here instead of the top card, which doesn't seem like a good idea early game, but it does become a good idea at some points perhaps. And when I do that, this one has a plus enemy card. I pull, instead of like, remember in Solar Sentinels, I just kept pulling these. I can only pull these from around, like, touching these cards. And so here would probably be pretty good because neither of these are going to activate any additional enemies. But if I had this Primus here, does it have a, and yeah, so this is draw +2 enemies. I would have to draw any enemies that are around this, until it stops. So I very well could like have a 5 or 6 fight, 5 or 6 people. Um, and so the other thing is when you're fighting Primuses, the dice that you commit, uh, there is a suffer damage round, which is going to, rather than Solar Sentinels, where it's kind of like the net result at the end, this is going to accrue for you throughout play. All right. You can also strengthen and weaken dice by trading them in for a stronger or weaker die, but they have to go into the area that you did that from. That was probably the most confusing step, but that just means like, the thing that helps to understand it is that the exhausted dice are like part, it doesn't sound like it, but you have to think of them as part of your dice pool. They're just in a different place that takes some more steps to use, and so you can strengthen or weaken dice in there with certain effects. Other than that, you have the sporting, uh, and bloodshed rounds are pretty similar, other than that the sporting rounds have like these multitude of different rewards that are possible. So it's a, for those of you who like a little bit more complexity, I think that the big draw for this game, I have to think, is like this game has a level of complexity probably similar to a lot of other board games you've played, but it fits in this space and costs $20. Pretty awesome. But yeah, this probably for me, I know exactly how this will go. When I stop recording, I'm going to play this, and either I'm going to get like psychotically addicted to it, and play it until 4 a.m., or about halfway through, I'm going to go, okay, thank you, and that's okay. It can go either way. I don't know what in a game butters my bun, but if my bun is buttered, I must follow the buttered bun. Okay, we're going to talk about Too Many Bones, and now I'm just going to kind of skip ahead to the setups of the games and show you basically what happens in them, so that we can get through these while not keeping you here for 3 hours. I do think it's like, even from the one playthrough I did, the thing that did start to feel cool with this one is the recruiting thing with the dice. Even though that could seem like like a little bother, like, oh, I gotta keep pulling these dice over here and exchanging them. But once your mind settles into it, that you're like advancing up this mountain and recruiting an army, the mechanics and the brain visual on that start to rhyme in a pretty cool way. So I just have, to say that, you know how, well, if you watch the channel, you know that I sometimes dislike when games deflate their own rising drama or seriousness by like adding in some silly joke, and it sort of feels quite like adolescent to me when that happens, where it's like, no, come on, you're trying to like build suspense, like stay with this, don't disperse it. um at first glance, this game was like that until I was like, no, this game is funny with occasional moments of like real stuff, and it does the most important thing, which is that it's quite often actually funny, which of course is the rule of humor that is, has about a 2% hit rating, in tabletop gaming, which is most attempts to be funny are just like either eye rolling or like you feel embarrassed by extension for whatever. But these are amazing. Like, here's the Eliminator, the Troll Savant. I love this Goblin Sapper, the Panthera Fish, the Goblin Devastator. Take a good look at that one. The G800, modified farm equipment's a special, and then oh yeah, Goblin Broadcaster. And I think, yeah, this one was the one that like hit me where I just was like confused, and then I put it together and I just, it's so stupid, but it's just a dork. Anyways, pretty good stuff. Yeah, the art here is um I think that this game has a lot of like it's either season to the future or just has really bad timing because the art on it is quite unique, but it happens to look like AI art. It is not, because this game has existed well before that and they have their illustrators and everything, but there's something about the figures in it that look a bit uncanny. Um there's something about it that almost looks like a human face was borrowed and modeled on that, but not quite. Um but it definitely has a distinct internal style to it. This right here is an example of an adapter that's used for a universal hero on the character cards. Like this Tangle Woods has one of these kind of adapters as well. Items, exhausting conversation. Um, the other thing is that the name for bad guys here, for most of like British language, this was, and maybe it still is, but like in the U.S., if you say a baddie, I don't say this, but like Gen Z says this. It means like I don't know, someone who is. See, I'm about to use another Gen Z word, low key attractive, but uh, I think of baddie as like. Well, I think of Hot Fuzz. Like, oh, wait, the baddies. Is that Hot Fuzz? I think it's Hot Fuzz. Or Shaun of the Dead. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, let's get this set up. Get these baddies. They're low key gonna get set up. Okay, so um, we have here our 1 point baddie encounters, 5 points, and then actually I think these ones are called the encounter cards. And um, this right here is my Gearloc, Gearloc. And we see the stats, the innate skill time adept. When you scout during the cleanup step, you may scout up to 3 times, which is a sort of scrying. And then you have this backup plan here, time jump. At the start of an engagement, ignore a baddie's special or after effects for that engagement. And on the bottom here, we have some slots. And up here, we have Oxide, who is the tyrant out of the 4 tyrants available: Barnacle, Nom, Cinder, and Oxide. And Oxide has this number here, 11, and that means the minimum amount of days that will be tracked with this that need to elapse in order to start the end game, at least 11. And also the number of days is sometimes used as a variable where it'll say like this, the number of enemies you have to face is equal to the BQ, or the baddie's Q, which is the number, or the BQ is equal to the number of baddie points, which is this. And then this is and by the way, you have to um, like create the amount of, how shall I say this? You have to turn an amount of these cards equal to, I believe it's the baddie points. So like on day 1 it would be this, day 2 it would be 2, and then if you get up to day 6 it would be like you could do it like that, or with the ones, I forget exactly how it goes, but it's an escalating amount of encounters. And you also have the possibility to have a lock picking encounter in which you can put this in your inventory, much like the opportunity, and you can only open this box like when you actually, instead of using your dice, place them here. And as you can see, this is like a big commitment. That's the red die. And then once you do that, you get gadget armor. There's other ones here. And then these are Mjolnir encounters, which are kind of unique across games because they allow you to either peaceably resolve the encounter or to have combat. And then these are sort of tyrant encounters where you kind of like, in the same way the Primus, is like, how do you say, like an elite enemy or a sub boss. This is a tentacle of one of the tyrants coming up to attack you. I randomly placed 4, actually not bad, 1, 2, 5, 6. They go up to 8, and those as well. The BQ is baddie points in the first engagement of this battle. It says which ones can't be committed, etc. And essentially, you're working up to this tyrant. So, in the backup plan, this is kind of nice, is that you can, with your misses, if you want to take your misses on a nice date, on the ones you miss, it's kind of nice because you can take them and put them in that slot of the backup plan so that they don't totally go to waste. And each die slotted here is one use of whatever your backup plan is. But if you can get all of these slotted with the right missed rolls, they exhaust, so you could like get them back after this. You would clear them and then flip, and you would have your guy +1, who now has +1 energy, +1 recovery, and may have improved innate abilities as well. So it is my sense that Too Many Bones is like their flagship property in terms of the game that I most would like to, like, their full game. I think Too Many Bones is $150 US, but still it shares a lot of DNA with the 20 strong system, as all of their games do. But Too Many Bones just looks like a super fun dungeon crawl that I believe could be played solo. But the 20 strong conversion of it it was missing something for me. It was pretty easy to set up, and I suppose if I had played Too Many Bones, I would have some sort of recognition that would give it some more texture. And I do enjoy the fun fights and everything like that. But there's lots of these little fights, a little less of these. And then in terms of these cards, which are the real flavor of the game that makes it feel like they get close to having a feeling of immersion, there's just not enough of these. And it just was a bit disappointing, only because I feel like they could have really done a lot of the things that they do in their other games. It seems like a lot of missed opportunities. Again, maybe I just don't have that relationship with this game. But for instance, there are 4 tyrants, and there are how many possible players here? Yeah, I guess there are 5, or you could use a universal. Maybe there's 6. I don't know. And that's, I don't know, that seems a bit limited. Only 4 of these, whereas in Hoplomachus you have 9 of each. In terms of like what you can, the rewards you can get. Maybe like if I think about all the rewards you can get for the enemies, it would feel a little bit more rich. The lock picking is interesting, but again, there's only 4 of those. And the pre-boss encounters, this is weirdly the one that like actually mechanically matters the least, but it was the one where I was like, really? Is that you have these 4 different bosses and all of the pre-boss encounters are tentacles. And I was like, but I'm not facing that one. And I don't know, it just kind of felt like it just missed some very obvious things. And I think that it's possible, um, being that this is a way to give an immersive experience of their IPs. I know that I think this was one of the earlier ones. Maybe there was like pressure to get this game out because this is the pathway that they want people to go. And also, I'm discounting the fact that uh, easy to make, easy to update. There's also something not even that we're not even thinking about here, which is like expansion packs and stuff like that. Um, but I just feel like for a game like Too Many Bones that has lots of different versions and lots of different things going on, and people who, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but the people who do like it really like it. I just felt like it was a pretty limited experience. And one of the things that I really think is cool about 20 Strong is that despite the fact that it is this sort of bite-sized experience, a lot of times when you have things like that are like, oh, are you interested in this game but you want to kind of try it, why don't you try this one? And usually the model for that is like, give them a little taste, give them a little taste of this, and then maybe if they like it they can. But the other games feel like full games. They feel like I want to get good at them. Like I want to see what it's like to face this one, or I want to see what kind of combos I can get. Whereas that, I was like, 4 lock picks? Like that's it? 4? Maybe they're double sided. I don't know, but um, it's an issue that's not an issue in some games. I mean, we talked about Brute Fort by Alfred Valley, and it was just that's 18 cards, maybe 21 with the additional stretch goals or whatever. But that's that's the language of that game. That game is a shifting tile of puzzles, whereas this is like just tons of different possibilities. And I guess too that Solar Sentinels, I think, is probably very similar to this. In fact, this could be thought of as like an upgraded Solar Sentinels. And so it's a higher bar that I've put on it for sure. But I also feel like maybe because the enemies were kind of silly, there's like, it just feels like each of the Solar Sentinels enemies were distinct. Whereas this one, I'm like, okay, I'm either going to fight an orc or a wolf or some sort of like combination of fish and mammal. um, at the same time, on its own merits, I think it's a fun game. And if you think about it as a game compared to other card games you could buy for $20, I think it's about 1,000 times better. So I think that this is really one of those things where the disappointment comes not from the game, but just like in comparison. And it's a risk when you put out good products. People people are harsh on you. Yeah, but it's kind of funny. Like if this was the breakout card game of a new studio, I'd be like, what? But just knowing kind of like what's in the sausage here, or what could be in the sausage, it's like, come on, we got to get some tarragon in there. Is tarragon related to oregano? Like a tarragano? Ah, forget. All right, now we're going to close this out by talking about what I actually think is probably the best games. Obviously, the most surprising. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm losing my grip as I get older. These were the last games I thought I wanted to play, and good golly, Miss Molly, I think that these are home run games, and these each based on Fairy Tale, Goldilocks, Little Red Riding Hood, Snow White, and of course your favorite princess, the Baba Yaga, John Wick. He's kind of, you know. No, this one actually is what I was talking about. It's I think it's like somewhere $14, whereas these are 20. And what Baba Yaga does is it allows you, I forget the exact order. I think it's like this. It allows you to put all of these in a row and play them one after the other, and it has like different characters and bosses and stuff in it. Uh, Also, as I stated, there's Tanglewood Rose, which is an interesting story. If you look on Chip Theory's website, it's based on Beauty and the Beast, and that one is was going to be released as a new core set to Barnes and Nobles only, but they have very strict timelines, and so they removed the core set thing, and they're just selling it on their website as like a deck like this. And they said because each of these have a little bit of a different twist. And what I like about this is that each of these build into what I think Tanglewood's Red is like a dungeon crawl. And why I like it, this is gonna sound weird until I show it to you, but like it's kind of like Slay the Spire. It's really cool. There's merchants, there's night and day mechanics, and the cards are just absolutely gorgeous. Each of these have a little bit of a different effect, and it's not just ego defense for me to say they're because I know that I did a Perils and Princesses reviews, and now I'm doing this, and it's like, am I turning into a cozy game guy? It is really, truly not that kind of way. I mean, it's pretty awesome. The inspired version of each of the characters, for instance, this is Snow White, but if she's inspired, she becomes the fairest. And so the art is a certain, a certain type of art. I can't nail down exactly what that is. Is it like it's not quite a Disney art? It's a little more like rascally than that. The Brothers Grimm serve as the kind of universal adapter for heroes. But yeah, this is Tanglewoods White, and it is like the cards are stunning. Look at that. Like the day night tracker here, the evil stepmother. I mean, they really brought this into their own. The Witch Queen, the Crystal Undertaker. How awesome is that? The turnquote dwarf. The magic mirror never looks so sinister. And an Ogren. But yeah, there's like, you have your merchant that will have different items available, can also heal you, recover your dice, um, and all sorts of different baddies that you can encounter. Um, and I just want to, I'll go through, just kind of swish through Tanglewood's Gold, but then I'm going to just set up Tanglewood's Red just to show you that because I think it has the best visual picture. But what I was going to say about let me see if I can get a picture of Tanglewood's Rose. Yeah, this is from like a blog post from them, and really as a company, they're really communicative, really just like real, down to earth. And the thing on the left was the core set that they were going to release. They're not going to do that because it's like it would have made more sense for that for a Barnes and Noble only release. I do feel bad for them. It doesn't sound like it was anybody's fault. It just sounds like, as they said, and I totally relate to this. They were going to have a fall release, and so they had to have it by like summer, and it was a year prior, and they were like, yeah, like that should be fine. And then as it gets closer, you're like, oh man. But yeah, the thing I'm excited about that one is that they said it's going to be a game, like have its own unique thing, and this time it's what is it called, tower defense mechanics, which I think is also really cool. And again, it's just that sort of ingenuity that if you had unlimited options, if you didn't need to use this, if you didn't have these dice, you can start to spin out and become something that might be good or might have nothing to do with why the first. But if you keep these little rigid points of structure within that, you have a sonnet or a what's the one like the man from Nantucket? What is that called? not a haiku. Is it a no? A limerick. That's what it is. Oh, also you could bribe the enemies in these games instead of fighting them, which I think is fun. I also like the so you have Snow White, and then you have the Prince, the Beast, Prince Charming, who can be inspired to be the huntsman. It's pretty awesome. And then these are all like the dwarves. I like that you have Ennui, Bubbly, Reckless, Peckish, Toil and Trouble, and Sean. Look, hi, I'm Sean. Um, cool stuff. All right. So this one is Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and the oh, I forgot to show you how the travel goes here. So Goldie and Locks, Hansel, Gretel, the Fool, the Fly. Okay. Oh, Wooden Pinocchio, Real Boy, Brothers Grimm. So this one, the travel mechanics, I don't know. I haven't played this one yet. I've just like looked at it, but to me, these are the least sort of aesthetically interesting ones, but it might be really fun to use them. But it's essentially like you're going to be following, I guess, a building a forest is what this is. And then you have the nighttime variation, which, much like Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, What a Terrible Night for a Curse, all of the enemies are more fearsome. This one is a great example of like, why couldn't we have had this many items in, like, would have made sense to me. Wrath of the Leprechaun. Cool. So I think one of, if not the bosses, we have the merchant. Oh, right. So the bosses are the bears. And the way that this goes, right, is that you have to in order to complete this card, you have to find cards that satisfy all these directional leaves. So two easts, a south, any direction, north. So, but the Snow White one, let's look at that really quick. And all the items also have like two items per card. Telescope, spyglass, like the upgraded version. Just saying. Oh, right, right, right. This one I think is actually more of the forest path. So like you'll put these cards down, and then a castle one, you'll have to pull a castle card. And so that one would be an enemy here, and then there's just sort of different types of encounters, and I believe that those are nighttime encounters. I might be. No, actually, I think I'm making that up. I think they're all like that. But yeah, you can like sort of see the category that they're going to be, but you can't really see what exactly they're going to be. Here's all the items, and those are the castle cards. Look like the bosses or sub bosses. So now, before I show you this, just so you know that Baba Yaga is like not going to go too far into this one because it is just like addendum cards for each deck. It'll have like new bosses, new encounters, a couple new heroes, new items, and stuff like that that will enrich the game. And then obviously there's Baba Yaga as well as Chicken House as two new bosses. But there is new. Oh yeah, there's like somebody who has like a whole bunch of ravens, sister of ravens, and then the other hero you can get is the giant, but like the hero is in different pieces. Like the giant's head, the giant's legs, and they start wounded and then they go to healed. So it's kind of fun. But have not used that yet. Okay, so obviously my first hero here is going to be Little Red Riding Hood, who, when inspired, is of course Big Red. I enjoy the other ones here. We have the Marquis de Carabas, who is, or Carabas, is Puss in Boots. Maya, or Thumbelina. The Piping Piper, who is the Pied Piper. I love how they like look like badass. And then this one's my favorite, Bo Peep or the Flock. The Merchant is here. A set of awesome things that have both like their initial side and their upgraded side. And the upgraded side, like usually the thing itself then becomes reflective, which is really a nice touch. And some things really stink when you first get them, but then the butter knife or the better knife, the stick, the walking stick, some stuff is pretty much inert. This one, if your health goes to 0, you could set it to 1, which is nice, like a little bit of a save. But if you improve it, becomes birch bark armor. So each merchant has like a little bit of a different thing. The enemies here are going to be the big bad wolf or the bigger, badder wolf, and that will depend on how much of the wolf pack you defeat. Guzzle, rowdy, prowl, growl, howl. And if you don't defeat all of them, then what big eyes this wolf's going to have? What big teeth, right? What big gnawing hunger or matted fur, dark domain. So a lot of the elements are intact from the other ones. However, the way of traveling, I think, is most interesting. And during the day, you basically will start by constructing a map. And obviously, you're going to start your map and end your map. You're going to start your map here at your house. And you're going to end the map whenever you should find the other end of that, which is grandmother's house. To grandmother's house we go. And the map is progressively revealed and becomes, like I said, this sort of Slay the Spire type progressive map. And you're going to have enemy conflicts. You're going to have places where you can camp, where you can get +1 energy, +2 health, +1 recovery. You can have the wolf, which is a wolf pack conflict, where you can try to fight and beat one of the wolf pack to prevent the aggressive enlargement of the wolf to the bigger, badder wolf. And as you go along, though, you can be bribing with your gold because you'll have these minions you'll have to fight that have gold, different gold rewards. Or sometimes you can land on a book which will give you a fable. And these fables can be good, bad, or other, but much like the opportunities, they're kind of like side quests that instruct you what to do. All of a sudden, you see Eyes of the Wood, the clearing in the belly of the beast. And what I loved about these was that, like, it did really construct a story. I didn't have to try. It's just they're so flavorful that they become something quite easily. And I think this deck, compared to all the others, the illustrations are really special here. They're really, really special. I mean, they're borderline stunning in some of these different parts. But of course, the day will advance, and if you don't make it home, you can have night encounters, and there are little pluses on these, which will strengthen the stat loadout of these. And essentially, you're trying to get that wolf and get there safe. And some of the ones have little arrows around them. That means there's a trap. You have to do a trap test there where you roll one of the dice. On a hit, recover up to 2 dice. On a miss, you flip your current forest card to its nighttime side. And those are in addition to whatever's in the middle. So like you see this minion is in a box. This one has these arrows. That's a trap. That's a regular encounter. But the square here, that means you feel weary. So you have one fewer energy. And that's just during the combat. This little weird squeezed octagon is a toll. You have to banish any die or pay 2 gold, right? And there's also like blighted ones. There's ones that are a mob where you'll have more than one encounter. That especially happens at night. So all sorts of different possibilities here. And to me, again, for those of us who are solo role players looking for an experience, and because this is a man alone video, I always save the thing that I recommend the most to the very last 4 minutes of the video. But this is the thing, this was the game where this really clicked for me, and I started to see some of the possibilities even beyond this. So I'm very excited for Tangle Woods Rose. I'm very excited to hear back from Chip Theory Games. I know that I fit right in on the rest of your content providers who just pretty much provide straightforward playthroughs. I understand. I understand if it's not quite the right fit, but nonetheless, either way, love your games. Love the enthusiasm everybody at Chip Theory Games has. Check out their YouTube channel. Check out their blogs. They are just like they're doing it right. These are people that love games, and they have the best. I was just thinking today as I was walking around like a big box store looking for some Christmas present on my friend's kids list, and I was like, I bet you somebody tracks what direction I go around in this store, and I bet you they aim products in a certain direction that's more likely I buy at the start of my shopping and less likely on the other direction or whatever. And of course, I immediately turned around and started walking backwards and looked up and was like, that's right, that's right. But what I was thinking about is like how many dorks there are optimizing things like that everywhere we go in this world. And yet, like, you can have 500 focus groups and 100 different or 500 surveys and 100 focus groups, I guess is more realistic. You always want to have more surveys than focus groups, but you can do all of that, and yet you will never get as close, or at least you will only get as close as people who actually do the thing. People who are actually loving games, who actually want to create games for themselves. That's the market research is done. It's like ages 1 through 30 was their market research. And so I think that really shines through. And so I'm really happy that I finally did take the chance and buy this. And I hope to enjoy and sometimes have, mixed feelings on some of these, and then often, honestly, be blown away by a lot of them. There's lots of cool stuff on their website. They have like carrying cases for this, travel cases, and on pre-order right now as well, in addition to the new release of Tangle Woods Rose, which I do have coming in the mail. Very excited about that. They also have just released their next like core game is Cloudspire. That's one of their big games. It's Wrath, Cloudspire, Burn Cycle, Too Many Bones, and Hoplomachus. Those are Tanglewoods Rose is on the way, and let me know what you think. Let me know if any of you have played Too Many Bones. I'm curious to know how that compares. Like, not the 20 strong one, the actual one. These were my FLGS. Apparently these were like some extra convention cards as well. These are universal heroes that you could use, but they look to be in the style of one of the Tanglewood sets. Old Rink Rank. Oh my gosh, that's God. Old Rink Rank becomes Godfather Death. The Wicked Witch desiccated and empowered. Poor thing. Anyways, thank you all for your comments. And thank you for deleting any that just were not professional. I've had enough. You've had enough. I'm the only one still watching right now. What would I do? I could sing like an old, when I was a curly-headed baby. All right. Rude. sure. My daddy sat me down. Good song. Old song. Old song. Been sung in West Virginia for a long time. Hello, new. Oh, I gotta update this. Thank you, everyone who is newly joined. Discord, you know where it is. The Discord's on my profile.